Hello and welcome to Enlightened Empaths, your community for the spiritually awakened, where we discuss, explore, and connect with fellow empaths, healers, intuitives, and seekers. Hello, empaths. We hope you're having a great week. I was overwhelmed by the response I got for my birthday request. So if you guys remember, I had my birthday in June and I asked people to do a random act of kindness in honor of me. Well, that sounds a little egotistical, doesn't it, Denise?
No, not at all. It was a way to spread the kindness.
A way to spread the kindness, because I just feel like it's been kind of heavy with the energy lately and the astrological shifts and the negativity in the news, and I just wanted something really positive to focus on. And so I asked everyone to do a random act of kindness and just kind of offer it and tell me about it. Or if you had done a random act of kindness that really touched your heart and made you feel good about yourself, to share it with me. And boy, oh boy, did you guys respond. And I'm so just overwhelmed and honored and filled with gratitude. And so Denise and I are going to share some of the stories that you guys have so kindly sent in. And I'm just filled with so much joy. I really am, Denise. It means a lot.
It was a beautiful request and a great, great way to raise the vibration. And I'm sure people will hear these and say, oh my gosh, I could do that, or I've done something similar. And sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit for the kind things that we do. And we just brush it off, or we don't see that it's actually an act of kindness when it might make a huge difference in someone's life.
Yes. Well, I do have to say that Denise got me. Denise always does random acts of kindness. So she did buy me a gift for my birthday, and it came on my birthday, and it was this giant box. And I was so excited because, Denise, you always get me really good gifts. I've said for years, you are like the best gift giver. And you know why she's the best gift giver? Because she listens. Like one year I was telling her about my goal to go to England. And so you got me a whole guide to touring England and seeing Britain. But I remember you included the British coins. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. I just loved that. When I was working on writing my first book, you sent me those giant books of, how to get an agent, how to write a proposal, the writer's market. So I just love your thoughtfulness. And so I get this beautiful, beautiful box, and Denise, there was tissue paper, bubble wrap, packing wrap, and I finally get to the heart of it. And it is the most exquisite piece of flower amethyst I think I've ever seen. It is huge and delicate all at the same time. It is like this lavender purple, all little cluster geodes growing. It's so beautiful. I thank you.
You're very welcome. And it's coming from a place of love and kindness. So thank you for appreciating that.
Oh, I really, really do. And she said, I hope it's not too many crystals that I'm giving you. And I was like, girl, there is no such thing.
Well, I do, because I think, we're going to go into your home someday and have to wear glasses because it's so bling.
Some women are like, you can never have too many shoes.
Yes.
I'm like, you can never have too many books or crystals. Okay, so all of that aside, I would like to start off with our first story, if that's all right with you.
That sounds perfect.
Okay, it says, my most favorite place to recharge and connect is outside in my yard, where I have about a half-acre dedicated to a native flower habitat in the front and a huge veggie garden in the back. It is also where I listen to your podcast while doing the menial work that goes along with yard maintenance. This is where I can slow my brain down enough to connect with spirit and get very clear, intuitive messages. I was out weeding with earbuds when I felt someone behind me. I turned around to find my neighbor Nancy and her daughter. I came over and noticed that Nancy was wearing a hat, which is very unusual for her, and her speech was a bit garbled. At first I thought it was because she was nervous to stop by, but then I noticed a shaved section and some stitches on the side of her head. She was trying to hide her current situation, so I said nothing and continued to listen. Eventually she shared that she had just had brain surgery to remove a large section to try to stop her seizures. Now, Nancy is a big gardener. She would stop by over the years and we'd chat about the garden, and I'd send her home with tomato starts or flower seeds. So I inquired about her garden. Had she started yet, or did she have stuff to plant? She was unable to articulate as her surgery is badly affecting her speech and memory. So I offered to stop by later and take a look with her. When I came by that afternoon, I saw a bunch of plants, some still in boxes and planting containers. This surgery was recommended last minute, and she had bought all that stuff before her surgery. The problem was she was unable to prep her beds and come up with a planting plan. Her healing brain just didn't have the compacting to do it, and her family didn't have enough knowledge to help. Even though there was a lot to do that weekend, I promised to stop over the next morning and help her. I brought as many tools as I could and asked another neighbor to join me so Nancy could sit and rest when she needed. We joked about her bossing us around. We were over there for about 3 hours. We visited the whole time, talking about her surgery, families, summer plans, trying to make it feel normal. We were able to get all her veggies into the weeded garden beds and ready for the summer. I'll stop by later this week to help plant out her flower beds. I'm hoping this gives her a place of peace to come out to her yard and find nature and some purpose. I'm also so glad that she stopped by to talk and allowed me to volunteer my time. It's a great reminder that in times of need, there are always those of us willing to put down our own tasks to help others when times are hard. That community comes together to make things better, and a beautiful garden is more than having some pretty flowers. It's a place to gather and share a moment with the divine. Oh,
Oh, that's so beautiful.
that really is. I mean, to see someone in need and to know you have the knowledge to help and then to act on it, that's just such an amazing gift.
And the fact that the garden's truly a gift of life, like, and restore, that's the healing that will happen for that person being able to go out and be in her own garden. That's such a beautiful, it's a truly the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, it really is. And time. I mean, how many of us have that much time to just drop everything and help a neighbor?
And
These days everyone's so busy and pulled in all these different directions. So that is not a random act of kindness. That is a purposeful, beautiful act of kindness. And I thank you for sharing it.
one quick thing too is that the line that really jumped out at me was, at first I thought she was so nervous to stop by, then noticed a shaved section and some stitches. She was trying to hide her current situation, so I said nothing and continued to listen. That to me is the epitome of kindness,
Yes,
is to see something and not knowing someone would be uncomfortable, and she waited until her friend was ready to share what happened. And I think sometimes we may blurt things out or ask a question or do something, and that to me was the epitome of how kind this person truly is.
I agree. Beautiful.
Um, so the next one you received for your birthday happies is, I was on my way home from the training center and remembered that I needed some groceries. It was unusually crowded that evening. Behind me entered a family of 3. I was a little surprised that the kid was still awake so late, but who am I to judge? As I was going between the aisles, the kid had a tantrum because he wanted an ice cream. He kicked and screamed and wouldn't take no for an answer. I noticed this elderly lady going in front of me and mumbling something. Then she walks up to this family and starts telling them how irresponsible they are, how they're disturbing others, and so on. Everyone in this little store heard it. It was heartbreaking. When she finished with her lecture, she went to pay for her groceries. After a while, the parents managed to calm the boy. While I was paying, I noticed the family at the neighboring cash register. I waited until they were finished. I saw the mom had tears in her eyes. I walked over and asked if I could give her a hug. She began to apologize about the boy being tired. She knew it was a bad idea to take him with them. I stopped her right there and said, "These things happen. I'm a mom myself. You don't need to feel bad. I think you're doing an excellent job. Forget that lady. You're fantastic and you deserve a hug." Tears ran down from her eyes and mine. I gave her another hug and left.
Oh,
That brings tears to my eyes.
it really does.
I mean, sometimes just someone acknowledging where you are, not trying to fix it, not trying to make it go away, that can be beyond kindness.
And just moms helping other moms out. We need more of that. Just saying,
Right.
I see you. I know how hard this is. You're doing an excellent job. Every parent, every caregiver needs to hear that.
Yeah. And we don't know their circumstances. We don't know it could have been similar to the first situation where the person had the hat and the stitches. We don't know what was going on with that little guy. If it had been something more than just being overtired, no one has a right to judge.
No, you don't know what's going on. I mean, they could have just been visiting the grandfather at a nursing home late, and had to run in and grab some things for dinner or breakfast in the morning. This goes back to, I was just saying this to my oldest daughter, Olivia, a couple of weeks ago. I had a bunch of packages to take to the post office, and she was helping me, and our arms are loaded, and we're walking into the post office, and this elderly man pushes past us, opens the door, and keeps on going, does not hold the door for us. And
Oh,
I said to her, I know we're supposed to honor our elders, but I don't think they are the nicest generation. It's the younger people who are always reaching out and holding doors open and doing all of this stuff. Like this older lady, she's lived her life. She's at the grocery store. She's checking out. What does she care that some kid's screaming?
yeah.
To take the time to walk up to this poor mother and tell her blah, 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 blah. We don't need you, Karen.
I I'm just gonna say it depends on the person because I was holding the door. I hold it if I'm walking out and there's someone behind me, I hold the door. Like, when you catch up, it's just being polite.
Right.
Or if someone, it doesn't matter, old, young, in between, if they're struggling. I mean, wouldn't that just be common courtesy to hold the door for someone going in carrying packages?
You would think so, wouldn't you?
Okay, I would.
But it
Yeah.
happens to me a lot.
Huh.
Yeah. I don't
They
know.
just let it slam right on you.
Basically, it's a little pet peeve of mine.
Well, it's a big pet peeve. It's because it goes back into the category of it's free. It doesn't take away from you. It
Exactly.
uh,
This
so
took
this
nothing away from our beautiful listener to just walk over and say to that mom, I see you, you're doing great, and give her a hug.
yeah
All right,
yeah
this next one is really funny just because she's a really good, funny writer. But it's also a great reminder of how, when we say, share your light, this is what we mean of just sharing your light to help alleviate a potentially stressful situation. She says, I was at IKEA in the checkout line on a Tuesday morning. I had swooped in and was hopefully swooping out. Okay, can I just say I've never swooped in and swooped out of an IKEA? So that's impressive.
Okay, I'm going to horrify you that I've never been in one.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Really?
The closest one to us is where my oldest daughter lives. And when I go to visit her, I mean, they make fun of me, but I block out like 3 hours.
Wow.
It's huge. And they have really good Swedish meatballs. So I have lunch, I shop. Anyway, so this listener was going to swoop in and swoop out with some lighting fixtures for my daughter and her new place. I was in the only line that had a human cashier, and because I believe in human cashiers, I was committedly in that line. There was a couple ahead of me in their 70s, and they were buying a lot of stuff. 2 giant carts full, big boxes. This lone cashier takes a quick glance at the lineup he's got going on, takes it in, but he's a pro, so he's going to give this couple his undivided attention as he should. The young ladies behind me, sisters who are moving in together, leaving home, purchasing a large sisal rug, seem apprehensive. This is taking way too long. We hear the cashier send for a manager on his walkie-talkie, and then we hear, okay, so from the beginning, the sisters and I lock eyes. This is bad. There seem to be many receipts involved. I look past the sisters to the rest of the now crazy long line, 12 people at least. I can physically feel all of that communal irritation blossoming in everyone's chest. It's contagious and it's spreading. So I spring into action. The first thing I say to the sisters is, imagine how awful it would be right now to be those people. I pause, giving it a beat for that to sink in. Then I say, listen, I hope you don't have cats. Cats and sisal rugs are mortal enemies. Why is that, they ask. Well, I say, cats love to vomit on sisal rugs. It's a well-known fact. And here, I must say, I outdid myself with a perfectly executed pantomime of my elderly long-haired cat running for the sisal rug as he's about to toss his cookies, to much acclaim from the sisters. Being a professionally trained thespian sometimes has its advantages. There's a split second where I even see that they briefly consider applauding me, but then decide against it, because applause at the IKEA checkout is probably frowned upon. Then I pull out my phone to show them my best, unbearably cute cat pictures. They follow suit with their doggy pictures, and then the guy in line behind them insinuates himself into the love fest to show us pictures of his dog, Ralph, the German Shepherd. Had we had the luxury of another 10 minutes, I'm confident that every single person in that line would have made a connection. I was very proud of myself for having prevented a communal meltdown, and I absolutely felt the gratitude of the couple with the IKEA order from hell. It was a lesson in trying to find the joy and the humor in the everyday nonsense that takes up such a huge amount of our time. Why not seek to make connections in every place, in every moment of our lives? Say the thing out loud that's in your head. Thank you, and happy birthday, Samantha. Thanks for the challenge. Wow, I love that.
This is a really fun one, and this person is a great writer because it's light, it's fun. You're right there in the line with them. That was really a fun one.
Yeah, and it's just what you do. It reminds me of that video that went viral. There was a plane, I think they were delayed on the tarmac for like 4 hours. And so the flight attendants were like, everyone gets one free drink and we're going to play charades. And they all ended up having a great time. It's just, community, connection, and just one person sharing their light and helping to alleviate the stress.
Yes. And it was a great way to bring commonality to all the people who were frustrated in the line. But a good cat picture, good dog picture, bring out the best in anyone. The only thing is, I don't think saying out loud what's in your head might always be the best choice for some of us. Just saying.
This is true. Okay, what's our next one say?
The next one says, my son is 5 years old and a natural-born empath. He has such a strong connection with animals and nature and speaks to me about seeing pictures behind his eyes. Oh, that's so damn cute. He's highly sensitive and always surprises me with his thoughtfulness. We have an elderly neighbor that we frequently see walking our streets with his little dog, Emmy. This man, Robert, is so friendly and nice, and we always enjoy chatting with him when we're out and about, too. My son realized that we hadn't seen Robert in several months and suggested we should go check on him. We love baking sourdough bread, so we baked a loaf for him and walked over to his house. Much to our delight, Robert answered the door. We explained that we missed seeing him on our walks and just wanted to check on him. His face lit up, and he told us he'd been sick this winter, and his doctor didn't want him to walk solo anymore. Then he winked at us and said, but I'm totally fine. We chatted for a bit and let him know if he ever needed some walking buddies, we'd be happy to join him. As we said goodbye, we could see tears in his eyes. He said he was so touched by our kindness to stop by and that it meant so much to him. I asked if I could give him a hug, and we embraced. He's always been the type of person that you're drawn to, but you're not sure why. Someone you don't know on a deep level, but it's as if your soul knows them on some other level. I often wonder if him and my son and I are connected somehow. My son keeps talking about Robert and how we need to invite him over for dinner. Well, this act of kindness inspired my son to think of another idea. He said to me one day, Mom, what if older people don't have anyone to bake them a birthday cake? We should bring them a birthday cake. The idea sparked something in both of us, and I thought, how special would it be to deliver birthday cakes to elderly folks who don't have family close by, or maybe in homes where family don't visit them often. We told my son's preschool teacher about his idea. She's also a true empath and a gem in our community. And she said, how amazing would it be to bake the cakes at school and to have the kids deliver them? Her mom is in an assisted living facility, and she said she'll contact their events director. This idea has sparked so much inside of me as well. I have grand ideas to reach out to our community and ask if anyone knows of someone who may be in need of a birthday cake. or has any other connections to senior living homes. I've always said who I love the most is children, animals, and elderly, the ones that don't have a voice. And it looks like my son is following in my footsteps. I'm so proud of the little person he's becoming and can't wait to hear more ideas.
Oh, wow.
Tears.
You
Tears
were
in my eyes
having
again.
tears. Oh, I love that. I love that, first of all, this little son, see, it goes back to what I was just saying. This new generation of little people are absolutely amazing. And he just has this connection to their elderly neighbor, Robert. I love that he volunteered to be a walking buddy. And, that would have been enough of a lovely story.
Yes.
We checked on him, we brought him some baked goods, and we said we would walk with him until he fully recovers. That's perfect. But then they take it an extra step and are going to be planning with this. I love that the preschool teacher jumped on it too.
Yes.
That's really, really cool because that way, and she already has a connection to the senior assisted living facility. I love that. Who knows? She might start a whole thing in her community.
This story touched my heart in so many ways. And again, little kids, if we would pay attention to them, they usually see things that we don't. They see solutions and they come from a place of heart. There was a woman here in this town that I live in, and she worked in the school district, and she started a Helping Hands food drive. She was a special ed teacher at the elementary school level and noticed there were some kids that were coming in hungry. This was years and years ago. When I worked at the school, the kids in my program donated for this, and it had been going for 20 years. And it got bigger and bigger every year. And all the schools did this donation, and they had all these things, and it went to the local food pantry. But all because that one person had a hungry kid in her class and decided to do something about it.
Oh,
So you don't,
wow.
I mean, I've worked in nursing homes or in assisted living facilities, and that to me is there's a depth of loneliness for people that have been forgotten.
Yeah. Yeah. There really is.
Terrific.
It
So
is.
this is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful story. And again, this person is touching my heart with little kids, animals, and old people.
Yep.
Have to watch out for them.
Yes, you do. Oh, I love it. Okay, our next one says, it is a frequent practice for myself and my husband to do random acts of kindness. I'm so grateful that my son is also now doing this because of our example. Here's my story. I was going into a grocery store and there was an elderly gentleman collecting for a local veterans organization. He was dressed in a military hat and jacket and proudly wearing all his medals, patches, and badges. He was sitting and he had a container overflowing with donations. I didn't have any cash smaller than a $20 bill, and I decided that was okay with me. This man to me was a hero, and for a moment I was ashamed that I had hesitated at giving $20, but that's a lot for me. He lit up and thanked me loudly when he saw the bill I put in his bucket. I said, "No, thank you very much, sir, for your service." I also offered to go in the store and get him a drink or some lunch. He was overwhelmed at this additional offer of kindness, but refused and said he was going to be relieved in 10 minutes by another veteran and was doing fine. I'm kind to everyone at all times, but I do always show extra appreciation to our veterans. I try to be a light for them. I just didn't have a name for it until I started listening to your podcast. God bless you, and I hope your birthday wishes reach far and wide. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
$20 is a lot to just put in a bucket, so I get that. But
it is.
it's great that she was able to do that and then continue to reach out for help. There's something special about an older veteran. You just never know what stories they're hiding. I remember I was in our local grocery store, and like our other listener, I was trying to just swoop in and swoop out. And I was in the freezer section, and there was this elderly man in a motorized wheelchair, and he was trying to reach something up high in the freezer. And I said, "Oh, sir, can I help you?" And I noticed his veteran's hat, and it said World War II. And I was thinking, there's no way. And so I asked him, and yeah, there was a way. And I thought, oh my gosh, like I said to him, I have so many questions. Like, and he was it was fascinating. I think I stood in that freezer section, Denise, for almost an hour. I'm sure most of our freezer stuff melted, but he told the most amazing stories about being in World War II and then Vietnam and how he spent his whole career there and how he met his wife. It was fascinating. So it was not a random act of kindness for me because I received so much more listening to his stories. And I remember what I took away from that, besides the gift of his amazing tales and experiences. I think he thanked me 3 times for listening to him.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Again, when we reach out and make that connection.
It's an untapped resource.
Yeah.
And when we had intergenerational homes, and it was more that the stories got passed down. It's just different now, and I think people want to be seen and heard. And that man dedicated. He was very much the epitome of being of service.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just beautiful. I heard Ken Burns being interviewed, and he was saying how, it used to be there were 1,000 World War II veterans. He said now it's like 5.
Yeah.
He's
There,
coming out with a new documentary on the Revolutionary War.
just real quick, that's one of my favorite memories is when my son was a teenager, one of my sons, and used to be this really old man that would walk by the house. And you could tell he was very old. He had a cane, and one day he stopped and he was talking to my son. Well, they shared a love of airplanes, and this man was an airplane mechanic in World War II. And my son was really interested in aviation and the history of aviation and all that stuff. And the man brought over all these papers and things from newspaper clippings and articles and all this stuff on the mechanics of World War II, engines and planes and all kinds of stuff. And they just had this brief but very poignant friendship that they shared over that one summer. And whenever the man was walking by, my son was out mowing the yard or something, they'd stop and they'd talk about airplanes or aviation or World War II. And I know it did the world of good for both of them.
Oh, for sure. That's what I mean. When we reach out and make these connections, it's a win-win.
Right. But so many people dismiss other people from other age groups or demographics or whatever it might be, thinking there's nothing that they could learn from them or share. And that doesn't end with a
No,
number.
no. It's like that story I sent you like a year ago. Remember, the Dutch have started this thing where you can rent remember it was like a library, but you can check out an elderly person just to hear their
Yeah.
story.
Yes.
I thought that was
Yes.
so cool. And you just go and you meet with them and you take them for coffee or lunch and you just hear about their amazing life stories.
Well, just as an aside, there's going to be a huge lucrative market for us elderly folks coming right up because my friend works in a municipality and she handed this person who was maybe 24 a note. And the woman looked at her and said, "I can't read that." And she said, "Why?" She said, "It's in cursive."
Oh my gosh, I know.
And my friend said, "Well, what do you mean?" And she said, "I can't read cursive. I never learned how." So anybody's looking for a part-time gig, it's coming right up.
Well, if anyone went to Catholic school, you're all good because that's the one thing, that's the one young people thing my kids can do is read cursive. And they were so, I don't want to learn cursive. But yeah, that's a dying thing. Isn't it weird?
But there'll be people that will have to translate old writings.
Yeah. I wonder if it'll be considered like a form of a language.
Oh,
One thing Catholic schools stopped teaching that I actually miss because I'm such a nerd is diagramming sentences.
yeah, they don't teach a lot of the real basic stuff anymore. I used to like to diagram
Me
sentences talking
too.
about being a nerd.
I thought it was so fun. All right, we're
Okay.
digressing.
Here's the next one's pretty quick. One day I saw an older woman in the grocery store dressed like my mom, who'd be 98 now, in slacks and a nice top. I looked at her and said, "Hello, you look so lovely and you remind me of my mom who's no longer here." She was taken aback and demure at first. I told her, "Yes, you really do look so lovely, and I just wanted to tell you that." She looked like it was the best thing she'd heard in years. This is about 2 years ago, yet I still think of her and how much that strong interaction lit her up so brightly, which in turn fills my cup.
Oh, just giving a random compliment. I always try to do that, but I always try to make sure it's genuine. Do you
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like, you have to really feel it. You have to really be like, gosh, you look so beautiful today. Or, I really love the way you did such and such. Or, your dress is on fire, as my kids would say.
the ones that always get me are if someone has a beautiful hand knitted sweater on.
Yeah.
And I always go out of my way to say, "Oh my gosh, did you make that? It's stunning. It's beautiful," because you know what went into that for someone to create it. And um, it's on fire. You're right.
Yeah. It's a great thing. All right. Our next one says, I was running errands at the health food store, which was next to a medical oxygen business next door. I left the health food store and noticed an older man on oxygen with the hood of his truck up trying to start his truck. I was not sure that I should approach him. However, something told me to go help. I walked over there and he was having problems breathing. I noticed he had a plastic bracelet on his wrist indicating he may have just gotten out of the hospital, and he was very distressed. We tried a few things that did not work, and then we realized that the starter relay was locked on. We were able to get that shut off, and then the truck started. He needed me to turn the key and push the clutch in while he got it straightened out. He was then able to go on his way. I was happy that I followed my intuition to help, and I put myself in that situation to try to do what would be helpful when it is possible for me. Oh, wow. Now, that's something I can't really relate to, Denise, because if I saw someone with their hood up, I would say, I have AAA.
But still, you'd be offering to help in a way that you could.
Yes, that's true. That's true. I love that she again, we have a listener noticing all of these things, but not asking and just jumping in to help.
Okay, my mind immediately went to, uh-oh, oxygen tank, engine, flammable. Oh dear God.
Oh,
But
yeah.
and
Oh,
you
please,
know what?
Denise. You should have seen my mom at the end with her big oxygen tank next to her
Having a smoke,
and
right?
having a cigarette.
So the interesting part, though, is that she said that he got in. This person had to get in and push the clutch in and turn the key till the man got it straightened out. That's the number one theft deterrent now, is to have a manual transmission.
Oh, that makes sense. Because
Can you
they don't know how to do that.
can you drive stick?
Oh, yes. My first
Yeah,
car was stick shift. I
yeah,
miss a stick shift
yeah.
so badly.
You, it's hard to even buy them now.
I know. I know.
They're fun. They're
They
fun to
really
drive.
are.
Okay. The next one, I'm a volunteer at a local animal shelter, and my focus is to help all dogs that arrive there find hope and love. My primary focus has been to help senior dogs and those afflicted by conditions that deem them less likely to be adopted, dogs with disabilities or medical issues. I'd like to say that I make it my goal to spend as much time as I can with these beautiful souls there when I go once a week to the shelter. I advocate and try to find them a rescue or an adopter. Even if they somehow are unable to get out of the shelter and end up going to heaven, I'd like to at least think that their last days or weeks were marked by them being loved and accepted. I'll continue spreading the word of importance of adoption as long as I live. Thank you for suggesting this, Samantha, and I hope your birthday is amazing as the energy you always bring to all of your listeners.
Oh, thank you. Wow. I love that. I think that is such a hard thing to volunteer. Like, that would be hard for me to volunteer at a shelter because I would end up taking a lot of them home, and then that would not be good for me. Wouldn't that be hard for you to leave?
Yes.
But I love the attitude, even if they weren't able to get out of the shelter, their last days or weeks were marked by them being loved and accepted.
And
And
that takes an incredibly kind heart to take in a senior animal.
yeah, it really
Um,
does. That's beautiful. We heard when my kids were little, we had heard that the animal shelter was full, and it was a really, really cold winter. And so I went to our local fabric store and I just got those fleece yards of fleece, and
mhm.
I had a bunch of their friends over, and it's so easy. You just cut the edges and then you teach the kids how to tie them together into little knots. Have you ever made those quick fleece blankets?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. And we did that, and we brought them to the animal shelter so that they'd be warm that winter when they're in their kennels. And they were so, so grateful for that. And so it's something we try to do. I'll use my extra yarn too when I'm knitting or crocheting. So there's beautiful things you can do for shelters if you don't have time, to go every week. One of my daughter's friends, she has such a heart of gold. She was in high school and she was working a part-time job and she was playing two different sports, and she still went down to the animal shelter every Saturday just to give each of the dogs there a walk.
Oh,
Isn't that lovely?
it really is.
I love
Really,
it.
really is.
Okay, our next one says, in general, I am usually a very giving person. Giving is my love language for those close to me. For example, I have several friends and family who were affected by the Los Angeles wildfires, and in addition to donations, I made them gift baskets with some items to give them comfort. I had a neighbor in her early 80s who lost her daughter, and I gave her an orchid on Mother's Day. In addition to the orchid, I've relayed to her some glimmers of hope messages from another neighbor who also lost her daughter. These last few months, I've gifted recycled jars of jams to neighbors and friends to lift their spirits and give them something sweet. I also volunteer for my hospital's community food drive center and have helped at other food banks. When I read your birthday challenge, I said to myself, I will know the moment because it'll make me a little bit uncomfortable. So this morning, as I'm getting donuts from the local Kroger's for my team at 6 a.m., there's a stranger with disheveled clothes, a bad smell, and was so jittery his eyes couldn't focus. I don't tend to engage with strangers, but this man, though a bit erratic, seemed harmless, and all he wanted was a York candy bar. I told the cashier that I would pay for the gentleman's candy bar, and as soon as I said that, he sparked up and said, "Wow, thank you." And he took his candy bar and joyfully went to the other entrance without looking at me twice. It felt great to reach beyond my comfort zone and use my intuition to know that this was a safe gentleman to provide a snack for. Oh, that's lovely. And wow, you do a lot. That's impressive.
It is. And it does kind of build. Kindness builds, and it's a much nicer way to be, don't you think? Just
Yes.
to be with yourself. And not in a, again, as I'm going to say, not in a hey look at me way, but in a it feels better to be kind than not.
Exactly.
You should have told me that when I was barreling through the middle of Boston traffic the other day. Oh, I channeled that inner rage with the best of them. You've there was not much kindness, but anyway, sometimes you
No,
have
I
to unleash. You've driven in that,
totally been there too. When I was downtown in Charlotte with my kids back in March, and I've said before in the show, if I have cash, I will usually give it. If someone's asking, and I know I always hear the backlash, they're going to use it for this or that, and I always think whatever, that's what they do is with it is whatever. And this time I just did not have any cash, and I said to the gentleman, "I'm so sorry, I don't have any cash." And we just kept walking, and he shouts back, "I have Venmo."
Oh my goodness.
And I was like, wow, I don't know what to do with that. Venmo, huh? Everyone's
I'm going to
coming
be,
into the 21st century.
yeah, I'm going to be really quiet. And I think we should do the next one.
Sounds good.
I try to spread calm joy when I can, but I don't really notice when I'm doing it. Your request for stories help me look at how I'm living day in and day out. Is it focused on sharing light, love, and light? The other day I was at a gas station and went into the convenience store to get something. I noticed a man with a walker check out, but then wait for space to clear so he could get to the door. He was trying to balance his bag and a gallon of milk. I checked out and walked to the door. I was happy to see that someone held the door for him to get into the vestibule of the store. Then he paused. I asked him if he wanted help carrying anything to his car. He said no, but then began to speak. He told me about how he had a stroke and had died and how he had suffered some brain damage from it. He talked about how frustrating everything is now. He can't do what he used to. He talked about how his grandson sat at the side of his bed and prayed for him to get through it. He talked about a lot. He talked about his son-in-law and poor choices he was making. He talked about having been a teacher. He talked a lot. I'm so glad that I stopped to see if he needed help. He needed to talk. He needed to release a lot. He didn't want help with the milk, but he just wanted to be heard. And I listened. Sometimes just listening to a stranger is helpful. We stood in the parking lot for a while. I wish I could have done more. But as I left, I realized that the act of listening to a stranger was all I really needed to do. I sent a bubble of energy to him with a prayer for peace. I hope I made a difference for him that day. Thanks for all you do.
That is beautiful. And that is exactly the kind of things I was hoping to inspire people to do is just be there and see someone in need and ask. Like she says, am I focused on sharing love and light? Because it is a lot sometimes to hold space for someone, especially if she was busy and had to go here or get this going, and yet she paused and just held space for him to release all of that.
And it says volumes for this person's energy, and I'm not being ageist by saying the man had a walker, but I put him in my mind in a more elderly capacity because of that. And and he talked about his grandson and he talked about different things. That generation isn't going to just pour their heart out like that unless they feel safe enough to do so. So what a beautiful, beautiful tribute to this person.
Well said. I think we have time for one more.
Yes.
Okay. So this last one says, my random act of kindness happened several years ago. At one point, one of my daughter's friends got into trouble for a parole violation. At my daughter's insistence, I took off work and attended this person's court hearing. Because his father and he were estranged, the judge asked me if I was open to having this young man sleep on my couch until he could get his life together. We both believed he was a good kid going through a dark time. Soon after that, this young person ended up in my basement for a couple of years. During that time, he earned his GED and attended college. He got a good job and turned his life around. Now, 12 years later, we are still in touch, and he's a great friend to my daughter and to me and my family. While I try to be kind in most of my life's dealings, this story is dramatic and a happy story that speaks to the positivity of lending a helping hand when someone needs it. The blessings have returned many times over to all the people involved. Wow. Now, that's not a random act of kindness. That's not even an act. That's several years of reaching out to help someone.
She changed that person's life.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Incredible.
Oh, wait, there's one quick one if I could just finish
Oh,
with this.
please. Yes.
Okay. This listener says, thank you for asking us to do random acts of kindness. I'm a hospice nurse in Denver. As I drive around the city seeing different patients, I always see so many homeless people. It's been over 100 degrees here this week. Today, I filled a big cooler with ice and drinks and had so much fun pulling over to hand them out to people who were clearly suffering in the heat. I think I'll do this more often. Oh, that's wonderful. Wow. Wow.
These are all so incredible. I mean, it's a beautiful tribute to you for your birthday, and it was a wonderful gesture to ask for that. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you, everyone, to just take this request and run with it in the beautiful and myriad of different ways that you all did. It just, as they say here in the South, it warms my heart.
Which is much better than it didn't bless his heart.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
glad it
right.
wasn't.
But it is so often just those small random acts of kindness that really help us get through those difficult, annoying days and those awful long dark nights of the soul times. Just those moments of reminding us that we're all humans, we're all on this planet together. And when we take time to hold space for one another and really see and hear one another, we feel that connection of love that exists within and between all of us. And that's just a miracle.
That's so beautifully said. So beautiful.
Thank you guys so much. It means the world to me. Best birthday gift I ever could have gotten. I've gotten so many in. I'm going to be sharing some of the other ones I've gotten on my other podcast. But as more come in, Denise and I will share them on our monthly community connection show. So thank you guys. Appreciate it. I really, like I said, I couldn't have asked for a better birthday gift. Even better, maybe, than the flower amethyst, Denise. I don't know.
Just different.
Just
Just
different.
different.
There
Yes.
you go. Thank you guys. Remember, as always, to show up, do great work, and share your light.
Take care.